Hey, how are you doing? I'm Vasco Duarte, your host on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, and I've got some exciting news. So, right now, as I record this, I'm holding in my hand the signed contract for our very first Global Agile Summit. We're all in, and I couldn't wait to share this news with you. So mark your calendars, May 18th to 20th of 2025 in Tallinn, Estonia. We're going to have a transformative experience. We're putting together an event that it's all about real-life Agile. It's not theory or buzzwords. It's practitioners sharing what's working, what's making an impact, and how they've overcome challenges that you too will have to face, or maybe even facing right now. We're bringing together the best stories in Agile, from product leaders to engineering wizards to business visionaries. These will be stories that will inspire you to action. This isn't just another conference. It's a chance to connect with the people that are shaping the future of Agile. And here's the best part. Right now, we're in our super early bird phase. And that means you can grab tickets at just 25% of the final price. Look, that's not just half off. It's half off of the half off. It's an incredible deal for our dedicated community members, just like you, listening to this right now. So at the summit, day one will be all about hands-on workshops. And days 2 and 3 will dive into leadership, product strategy, coding, testing, and everything that makes Agile thrive in organizations right now. Remember, these are all first-person, real-life stories. Now, whether you're a leader, a developer, or part of a consulting company, this event is built to take your Agile game to the next level. So don't wait. Go to globalagilesummit.com and grab your ticket today. Let's all make 2025 the year Agile truly transforms your teams, your business, and our industry. I'll see you all in Tallinn. And remember, go to globalagilesummit.com and get your super early bird ticket right now. It will only be available until the agenda is announced. So don't wait. Grab it right now. Right, now that that's out of the way, on to the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, the Leading Change episode, also known as Change Leadership episode. I like to call it Change Leadership. And this week we have with us Robert Finan. Hey, Robert.
Hey, Vasco.
So when I think about change, I really want to understand the context, and I want to understand what were the difficult things, but also kind of the tools, the tips, the tricks and techniques you used, because we have a lot to learn from very pragmatic approaches to change. So share with us a story of a change process that you were working with and walk us through those different steps, like the steps of that change. And then we'll dive into the details and explore that further. But tell us that story first, Robert.
I've been involved in a lot of mandated Agile transformations, probably the best way of putting it, where the change has been, we're basically going to roll safe out, or we're rolling Kanban out, or we're doing something like that. So I've seen change basically on 2 levels. On the organization level, where they're trying to bring it out, and then there's within the team itself, or on the level of the Scrum team itself, where we're trying to basically get this thing to take off and to do something new. And so on the organization level in particular, something that I find that I'm going to say it's a common mistake, but the change is treated like it's just a complicated undertaking, and there's a roadmap for change. And if you've had a bit of experience, you know this is a complex undertaking there's going to be bumps on the road, there's going to be diversions, there's going to be things that happen. How are we going to handle this? And so one of the first things, if I might ask to be involved in the change process, is to ask about the flexibility of the plan. How flexible is this plan? Are we willing to change this plan? Is it okay that things may not happen according to this? Where are your inspect and adapt points in this roadmap of the agile transformation that you're making or the change that you're bringing into the company. Where is it we're going to stop, take a look, review where we are and change it? And so this invariably also is something that I'm a fan of. I'm sure you're familiar with the book, More Fearless Change, where there's a bunch of patterns about how to kind of subtly bring up issues and to address things and to bring in new ideas. And it's something I was talking about this recently in a course yesterday, like where it's a good idea to talk to people one-on-one if you want to bring in a concept or an idea that's not part of the official plan at the moment. Because if you bring this in the middle of a meeting, a lot of people are going to feel, we're back to feeling threatened by this and sort of say, hey, no, this wasn't part of the plan. And you're probably going to get pushback. If you work people in the background first, bring in your idea, whether this might be, hey, we need some inspect and adapt points. How about we make sure this is a flexible kind of a change? Then there's more likelihood to be acceptance or openness to the idea that you're bringing in at the time. The other thing about change that we've often tried, I wish they would do this more often, they don't, is can we take a subset? Can we take a smaller part? Can we take they call it the lighthouse project and stuff like that. But is there somewhere we can try this out and learn? I mean, this is agile thinking, right? I mean, is there somewhere we can take this kind of change we want to make? We can learn about it so that we can do it better for everybody else. So often I've seen transformations where it's one size fits all and we roll it out in one big go, which invariably backfires. Okay, because it's not taking account of the fact that one size fits all does not generally work. So I think there's a lot of if I'm brought in early enough, it's great to kind of like plant some ideas about how we could do this slightly differently. Sometimes you need to wait for them to see it's not working, for them to kind of come back to the idea and say, oh, you mentioned something about maybe we should bring this in. Maybe we could try this. Maybe we could do that. So working in the background very often with ideas, if you see how the change is working, rather than trying to confront people in meetings when they might resent this or feel threatened by it. I quite like, when it comes to change, I really like the SCARF model from David Rock, where you kind of evaluate what a change means from these 5 dimensions in SCARF. And now I'm on the spot to kind of say it's status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness and fairness, that you kind of view it from this point of view and see, okay, when we bring this change in, how is this going to affect certain people on certain levels? And then it's not surprising that very often managers feel threatened by something and resist it. Okay, so I actually do this. I've done this talk a few times. For my alter ego is Connor McConnor, a management guru, and basically what he said, all these anti-patterns that we get upset about as agilists when we look at an organization, look at all these anti-patterns that are there. From a management point of view, these are super patterns. These patterns save their job. I mean, Agile in the old days, when I started off, God, we hated managers. They were the enemy. We didn't need them. We were self-organizing. Now we're self-managing. Who needs managers? Of course, they felt threatened. So, if you're bringing something in, there's more dimensions to look at the change when it's coming in and ask yourself, how are people going to be affected by this? How do they see this from their point of view? So that's why I kind of did, rather than the boring talk about anti-patterns, I wrote about it from a manager's point of view, how it's a great pattern to give a Scrum Master 3 teams and ask him for a bunch of Jira reports at the end of every sprint and just keep him busy. So he has no time to actually do any Scrum Mastering. So
there is a lot
off topic there.
No, I don't think we did at all, because actually the relationship of agile transformation and the organizational structure and how managers are in that organizational structure is actually a key point. And you raised the point with which I agree, that some things that from an agile adoption perspective might be considered anti-patterns might be, for the managers of those organizations, you call them super patterns. So patterns that are to be kept, that are to be respected. And one of the really difficult changes is to handle that personal involvement that every one of us has, right? Because on the other hand, like I remember when the first agile transformation I went through, the biggest resistance came from testers. Because testers were happy to be in a separate team because they could explore the product on their own. They could plan their own work. They would not be interfered with by the team, the developers only at the time. And it was a really big change to actually bring the testers into the team. not because there was nothing wrong or anything wrong with bringing the testers into the team, but because it threatened something that they had developed and held dear to their profession from the previous world. And this is the key thing, because when we are in a change, we are both with a foot in the old world and in the new world. And everyone is. We are, they are, everyone is, right? And that acceptance that there will be uncertainty, there will be fuzziness, there will be discomfort, it's not an easy thing to go through. So I think that anything that we as Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, or just change agents, plainly, anything we can do to bring comfort to that transition is a plus in the end, even if it does set back the change for a little while.
Yeah, and the other example very often is, for example, we decide we want to have a more resilient team or a robust team that can take a knock or two, and then you've got your superhero programmer, or as I like to call them sometimes, their God, grumpy old developer, and he's like, doesn't want to pair program, he doesn't want to share his knowledge. His status is completely bound up in being the only person who can fix this. And you're coming in and saying, oh no, we need T-shaped people and stuff like this. And there's a lot of conversations to be, you can't just say, oh, I want to ignore this, or this isn't, you've got to talk to these people, you've got to work with them, you've got to make the change palatable, you've got to take the scare, the threat out of it in some way. And that that's one of the biggest challenges. It's always on a people level. Right?
You have to take the thread out of it in some way. I think that's a beautiful summary of this conversation. Robert, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Cheers, Vasco.
We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.